it, I'm just gonna send him a text. So of course, like, I'm embarrassed, I feel rejected. And of course, in this fucking group, me and him get partnered up. I swear you guys might think I'm making this up, but I couldn't even make this up if I tried. I'm pretty sure I blocked out most of this. Having one of the most embarrassing moments, like you having to ask a guy that's rejected you about his sex life. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lo, and this week's video is another Fella Friday video. So Fella Friday is the series on my channel where I talk about a different kind of fella or boy each Friday that I've encountered in my dating life. So this story is definitely really embarrassing for me. I don't know why I'm sharing this, but I feel like it'll be an interesting story. It's about the unrequited love. Take love a little bit loosely. I'm not sure I loved this guy, but I was definitely really into him. So for this, we have to go back to my second year of med school. So I'm already thinking, like, I really hope he doesn't see this, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't follow me on anything, so hopefully not. So my second year of med school, we had this one period where you could choose kind of like an elective. That was the only elective we could choose throughout all of our first 3 or 4 years. And so I chose global health because that's what I'm interested in, and it was a really cool group. It was a pretty small elective. We all got to know each other really well, and there was one guy there who I just, like, right off the bat, I thought he was attractive. I just thought he had, like, a good, I don't know, vibe. I just was really attracted to him, and I don't know, I just felt like I just had a huge crush, okay? Like, everything this guy did, when he talked, when he, I don't know, when he just, like, presented, I was just like, ugh, and I would just, like, catch myself thinking, oh my god, like, I hope he, you know, kind of said something to me today, or I hope we're, like, partnered up for a project. We're partnered up for one project during that, like, 3-month elective, which I was really happy about. And I remember, like, certain days he would bike and certain days he would take the metro, and we lived in, like, somewhat the same area, so I'd always be like, oh, I hope, like, the day that I'm on the metro, he's on the metro, or the day I bike, he's biking. So it would always kind of, like, I'd always try to look my cutest for these classes, and I'd always try to be like, oh, hopefully he's, like, biking today. And we definitely got to know each other a little bit. He also happened to be in the same fraternity sorority I was in. So in the Netherlands, fraternities and sororities are co-ed. I was in a rowing sorority, and he was in the same fraternity, rowing fraternity. So I actually, when I started doing global health and, like, got to know him, I actually just randomly started seeing him more at the fraternity sorority. So we just kind of got to know each other, but just very friendly. We wouldn't really text or anything or really talk that much, but I don't know, I just, like, kept getting more and more kind of in my head feelings for these guys. I just felt like he would be the perfect guy that I wanted to get to know better, and yeah, I was just really attracted to his personality. So at the end, in July, right before the summer, at the end of the global health course, it was right before summer vacation, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna send him a text and tell him that I think he's a cool guy, if he would be interested in maybe grabbing a drink sometime and getting to know each other. Honestly, like, was pretty proud of myself for doing this because I can be confident and, like, talk to guys if I know I'm never gonna see them again, but if it's someone that I know that I'm in, like, med school with and, like, a sorority fraternity with, I'm a bit more uncomfortable. But I was like, you know what, like, I might as well just try. So I sent him a message. I think I said something like, hey, I really enjoyed getting to know you during global health this year. Would you maybe be interested in grabbing a drink sometime? And he replied really sweetly. He was like, hey Lois, I also really enjoyed getting to know you. I hope you have a great summer, but I'm actually seeing someone right now. So of course, like, I'm embarrassed, I feel rejected, but he was a total gentleman about it. So my summer goes on and I don't think about it. I'm entering my 3rd year of med school and I had to retake some exams. So I basically redid my 2nd year. So I was headed into a group for the first, like, class of that semester, and it was a gynecology, kind of obstetrics and gynecology course, and I didn't know this, but he also had to repeat that course in that year. And so you were partnered up in, like, your little tutor groups of people who also had to repeat so that you guys could kind of support each other. So usually our mentor groups were like 5 to 10 people. It was usually like one mentor group is 5 and then 2 of them together was 10, and you'd have a lot of lessons like that. Well, for the people who had to repeat, it was different. So there weren't that many people who had to repeat. So I was in a mentor group with 3 other people. And I find out one of them is him. So it's me, him, and another girl. So all of our tutorials we had together, a bunch of sessions we had together. So for the first 2 months, I was gonna have to see him almost every day. So of course, I'm like, shit. You know, I'm still kind of feeling embarrassed, but I try to like put on my best face. And I literally remember the first day of like this year, I went to my first lecture and I was sitting there by myself. I didn't know anyone because all my friends had gone on to next year and I had to repeat a year. And I'm just like sitting there, like not looking at everyone, sitting in like the lecture theater, and I suddenly hear someone like, hey, is a seat free? And it's him. And I get so red. I'm like, oh my god, of course, like he is like coming to sit next to me right now. So I'm like, yeah, the seat is free. He's like, hey, like, are you also repeating? I'm like, yeah, I actually think we're in a group together. He was like, oh, okay, well, it's cool to like have a familiar face. He was so nice. I swear this guy is like, whoever gets him or whoever he's dating, I'm not even sure if he's dating anyone, you are a lucky girl, because he was so nice. He didn't make me feel bad or awkward or anything. So I was like, okay, it'll be fine. But the first, I think like a week later, the first tutorial we had for this class, again, like I said, it was like gynecology obstetrics, and they want to get you comfortable talking about sex. Makes sense, because, you know, obviously as a doctor, you're gonna have to do that. And we literally were in groups. We were like, a couple of the people who had to retake were together. I think it was like 10 of us in total, and they signed us up in pairs. And the practical, or the tutorial we were in, the whole idea was you had a stack of cards and they were all like quite sexual questions, and you had to ask them to each other and answer them. And just as a way to get, you know, used to talking about sexual topics, but also kind of feel how a patient would feel if you would ask them about like sexual topics. So literally some of the questions were like, what are you attracted to? What do you like in, like, yeah, like what are you attracted to? You know, how do you feel about sex? How often do you have sex? When did you lose your virginity? Like stuff like that, that you could actually maybe have to ask a patient if they come in with like sexual issues. And of course, in this fucking group, me and him get partnered up. There's 10 other people, so I'm like sitting there, and when the guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna pair you off in groups, I'm like, please don't pair me with him, please don't pair with me with him. Because obviously it's like awkward already, because I already admitted that I liked this guy. And of course, my fucking luck. I swear you guys might think I'm making this up, but I couldn't even make this up if I tried. Like, I wish this wasn't my life, but it was. And of course, that day, I'm wearing like a blazer, pretty low cut. And you know, okay, I have big boobs. Like, I'm sorry. I wish I could do something about it, but I can't. And of course, I'm like, fuck, I'm partnered up with him. I'm wearing probably too sexy of a shirt for this fucking tutorial. And I have to like ask him about like his sex life. So of course, like, me and him are both like super red. We're kind of sitting across from each other. I'm thinking like, well, fuck, a couple months ago I was kind of saying that I wanted to have sex with you, and now I have to ask you. So, and then I literally had to ask him stuff like, oh, do you prefer, or like, what do you find most attractive or like sexually attractive on a woman? I don't know, stuff like that. I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure I blocked out most of this, but I think he said something like, oh, like, I like big boobs, and I was like, I have big boobs. But it was just so incredibly awkward. And after that, actually, we saw each other quite a lot in that course, and even that year we saw each other quite a lot, and at like the sorority fraternity, we would see each other a little bit more. And I definitely was like still interested in him, and I tried to show a bit more because I heard like via people at the sorority fraternity that he was single again. So I kind of tried to be like, hey, you know, like, how are you? And also he would also like stuff of mine on Facebook, and I'd be like, oh, like, are you interested? Which obviously that doesn't mean anything. Like, girls will think if a guy likes something on Facebook, they're interested, and guys will just be like, oh, cool picture. But we definitely like talked a bit more that year because we saw each other quite a lot. Nothing ever happened. I think he just like wasn't interested in me, which is totally valid, but I just felt awkward for the rest of the year. But it also kind of helped me overcome a little bit of the like shame of asking someone out and getting rejected. Of course I felt like shit when he was like, I'm seeing someone else, or I'm not interested. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, we ended up being in a group together for a whole year, and we ended up like having one of the most embarrassing moments, like you having to ask a guy that's rejected you about his sex life. And it still was fine. So I guess my tip here is like, don't be afraid to ask someone out, even if it's someone that you're gonna see again. If it's a nice guy, they're not gonna make you feel shit about it. They're not gonna make you feel bad about it afterwards. Like, he definitely wasn't like, oh, haha, you asked me out. He was a super nice guy. So I hope you're really happy if you do see this. I hope he is really happy. Yeah, so I guess that was my like embarrassing crush. It was like embarrassing for me, but in the end of the day, it all turned out okay. And I guess like the one thing, maybe not all girls do this, but this is how I am. I like totally over romanticize things in my head. So he like, just, there were certain things about him that like reminded me of like my past or my past relationship. Like, I would look at for connections everywhere. I'd be like, because he really reminded me of my ex-boyfriend, my first boyfriend, and I think like that was one of the reasons I really liked him, because I was like, oh, he has like this similar to my ex, he has this similar to my ex, oh, he plays the same sport, oh, he grew up here, which is where my parents are from. Like, he just had all these things that I connected in my head that I was like, oh my god, we'd be the perfect couple. So I think that's like the one thing, maybe as a girl or a guy, I'm sure guys can do this as well, but like don't over romanticize too much in your head, because I just like had already built up this whole foundation with him just to find out that he wasn't interested. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. It was a bit random. It wasn't a guy that I actually like dated, but I thought it would be interesting to show maybe like a little bit more of a vulnerable side of mine that, you know, I also ask people out. I also get rejected. It's not just all my amazing dating stories or shitty dating stories, depending on how you look at these. But let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I'm back to regular filming and I have a lot more stories that I want to tell. So yeah, I'll see you guys again soon for a new video. Bye!